Am I the asshole for refusing to give back a family heirloom? A few years ago, my mom gave me a beautiful gold bracelet that originally belonged to my grandma. It had been passed down to my mom, and my mom told me she wanted me to have it because I was the responsible one. I'm the oldest of her children, and would appreciate it the most. I was honored and have worn it regularly since. Now, my younger sister, 22F, is getting married, and my mom decided she wants the bracelet back so she can give it to my sister as a wedding gift. I was shocked because, as far as I knew, it belonged to me now. My mom keeps insisting that it was never meant to be permanently mine, just in my possession until it was time to pass it on. But she never said that before. I refused to give it back, saying that if she wanted it to go to my sister, she shouldn't have given it to me in the first place. My sister is now upset because she thinks I'm being selfish and hoarding the bracelet out of spite. Most of our family also thinks I'm bitter towards my sister because she's getting married, and I'm unmarried, but that's not the case at all. I'm happy for her, I just want to keep the bracelet as it was given to me first. Am I the asshole? My spidey senses tell me that the younger sister is the golden child. Not the asshole. Same thing happened to me. I gave the bracelet back, but it hurt because I thought it was an act of goodwill when it was given to me because I was never close to my mom while she always seemed to have talks and moments for my other siblings. I felt quite neglected throughout my childhood and teen years. I figured if she didn't want me to have it, then I didn't want it. It ruined the meaning it had for me. Decades have passed and I'm still a little hurt, but I've let it go for the most part. Not the asshole. She should have held on to it if she wanted your sister to have it. I really hope you're not living there, but in case you are, find somewhere out of the house to keep it. Not the asshole. Once a gift is given, it belongs to the recipient. The giver has no rights to it. I guess you'll have to weigh the advantages and the disadvantages of keeping the bracelet. If it were me, I'd probably keep the gift. And if I still lived at home, I'd put it in a bank vault where no one else can steal it. But that's just me. I tend to react that way. Possession is 9/10 of the law, as the adage goes. Then I'd limit contact. Not the asshole. What's the bet your sister asked for it? Not the asshole. Let the golden child shine silver for once. Would I be the asshole for refusing to continue my dad's death wish, because of my mother's will? I, 40F, am the primary healthcare proxy for my mother, 85F, and our relationship is complicated to say the least. Growing up, my parents have always had favorites between me and my brother, 44M now. My brother was my mother's favorite, and I was my dad's favorite. And because of that, it sort of balanced out. However, my dad passed away last year when he was 91, and it was a really difficult time for me and my mother. Especially since my mother's health had declined a lot since my dad passed away. And despite how I wasn't as close to my mother, I still decided to step up to take care of her. Especially when my dad asked me to do so on his deathbed, because he didn't want my mother to be all alone after he passed away. However, recently, I heard from one of my dad's friend about how my mother was planning on leaving almost everything behind for my brother in her will. How my brother was going to get the majority of the financial inheritance, all of the family heirlooms, and most importantly, the family home that my father wanted to give to me, but decided not to do so, because he didn't want to make my mother homeless. And that bothers me, because not only have I been the one to take care of her for the last year, but also because this kind of blatant favoritism seemed far too extreme, even for me. Especially since my brother already has a house on his own since my father gifted him one when he was first got married, while I still don't have one for myself, because I promised my dad that my now deceased, husband that we wouldn't buy one for ourselves, since my dad that he wanted to give us the family home. So, when I confronted my mother over this, she not only confirmed that it was true, but she told me that she thought it would be better for my brother to have the family home, because it was bigger than the house that he had now. And that he and his wife, 34F, was going to have another child soon, so they need more room. And she also argued that since I only had one daughter and no husband, I didn't need such a big house. But when I told her about what my dad promised me about the family home, she argued that if he really meant it, then he would have given it to me in the first place, instead of just leaving it under her own name. And since she owned the house now, she was going to give it to my brother, no matter what. But she did try to provide me with solutions by telling me that I should ask my brother for his house if owning a house was the main issue. Which obviously wasn't going to work out. And now, because of what feels like a massive betrayal, I feel like I should just cut my support for her, sign away my rights as her healthcare proxy, and never talk to her again. But I also feel conflicted if I did so, because I'll be betraying my dad's death wish. Especially since I promised that I would take care of her after he died. So, would I be the asshole for wanting to refuse to continue to support my mother because of what she wrote down on her will? Edit. So, because of character limits, I wasn't able to explain the whole family situation. So I'm going to try to leave some comments behind to explain everything. And how and why I'm not mad about the favoritism toward my brother in the majority of my mother's will. Edit. 2. Especially since, after my dad died, he left behind a favorable amount of money for me. About 70-20 with 70% going to me. With me getting about 5.5 mal for both personal uses and for medical care for my mother, 20% going to my brother. So he gets 1.7 mal to support his family, and 800k for my mother for her to use for her own personal care. And that I would use the money I received from my dad to care for her. And yes, I know this is blatant favoritism from both sides, and yes, I know it wasn't fair for our parents to play favorites. Which is why I'm not upset about my brother receiving the majority of my mother's will in both finances and in having the rest of the family heirlooms. The only thing that I'm just upset about is not getting the family home like I was promised by my father. Especially since that's what my dad wished for me to have, only for my mother to trample all over that because she believes that my brother needs the home more than I do. So, I hope my comments and edits would leave behind more details to make this a more fair judgment. Not the asshole, but you're the asshole to yourself if you stay. She favors your brother so much, and he has a partner to help, so sign the healthcare proxy over to him. I'm sure he'll be very glad to help someone who is giving him so much. And while that's ongoing, talk to a lawyer. Do you have any documentation proving that your dad wanted you to have the house? You may be able to contest your mom's ownership if you do. But even if you don't, document all the time you have spent caring for her, set yourself an hourly rate, total up the costs, and request payment. You may be able to recoup the time spent caregiving from the estate after she passes. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep your mother warm. Your brother can take over her care or the state can do it. For your own sanity, no contact is a great idea. Make her pay for your services. A nursing home costs tens of thousands of dollars a month. For some places I think 10 grand a month would be fair, otherwise see ya. I had a parent like her. Screw her. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You fulfilled your father's wish, taking care of your mother, on the condition of granting a different wish of his, giving you the house he wanted you cared for. You have her health proxy? Put her in a home and have all her money go to care home fees. Why don't you talk to your brother first, assuming he is reasonable, and discuss the will with him? I doubt he wants you to quit as her main healthcare contact. If he is agreeable, then you two discuss this with your mother and get an estate planning attorney to finalize this in writing and make it an irrevocable trust. If your brother is a jerk, then bail on them both. Am I the asshole for refusing to leave my cat with my parents for my friend's birthday? I, 24 female, have been friends with a girl that I'll call Haley, 24 female, since high school. For a few years we didn't get to see each other much because we went to college on opposite sides of the country, but I moved to her city last year so we really got to catch up with each other. Haley will be turning 25 in a week, so we along with some other friends started planning her birthday party a while ago. She wanted to have a rather big party so that she could invite all of her friends groups, but we couldn't find anywhere to have it and she lives in a small apartment. I on the other hand have a house. It's not that big but it's big enough to host the party. So our friends started bringing it up and said that we could throw the party at my house. I was fine with that. I did find it kinda weird that they were the one to bring it up, because I personally wouldn't suggest throwing a party in someone else's house unless they were the one to suggest it, but it didn't really matter. So I said yes. My only conditions were that the party didn't turn into chaos, that no one got too drunk, and that they helped me clean up the next day. Everyone was fine with that, so we agreed on it. Yesterday, Haley sent me a text to tell me how many people would be there. That's when she asked me if I could get my cat out of the house for the night, because one of her friends from college is allergic. I told her that I didn't have anywhere else to leave him, but that I could make sure that he stayed upstairs while we were downstairs. I also told her that my cat is very shy and easily scared, so there's no way he'd get close to her friend. She then told me that I could just leave him with my parents and then go back to get him the next day. My parents' house is about an hour and a half drive and there's just no way I'd drive a total of 6 hours in one weekend. I told her that it really wasn't possible for me to leave him with my parents, but that he would be locked upstairs and I'd deep clean the house to make sure there's no cat hair anywhere. I also told her that she should have told me earlier and I could have found another solution, but now the party is in less than a week. She told me that I wasn't being helpful and that I was ruining her party, and she's been bitching about me to a lot of our mutual friends. I told her that I had no obligation to let her do the party at my house and I kindly accepted to do so, so the least she could do was to be grateful. She hasn't replied since. Most of our friends agree with me, but I also feel a bit guilty. I don't know if I'm in the wrong here and I don't know what else I can do. Not the asshole. If her friend is so allergic, you can't clean the house well enough anyway. Oops, sounds like the only safe thing to do is move the party. You just can't take the responsibility and wouldn't be able to live with the guilt if anything happened. If she really cares about her friend's safety, she understands. Anybody starts giving you SHT, stick to that story. Surely they're not suggesting risking somebody's health or even life. Not the asshole. The party is cancelled and you need to tell her now. The fact she is bad-mouthing you shows how ungrateful she is. Not the asshole. One of her friends suggested you host the party at your house. You generously agreed. Your friend knows you have a cat and less than a week before tells you to get rid of your cat for the party because one friend is allergic? Then gets mad at you because you won't drive 6 hours in addition to hosting her party to accommodate her? Then she starts trash-talking you behind your back to mutual friends and telling you that you weren't being helpful? 1. She's not your friend because friends don't treat each other like this. 2. I think it's time to tell her that you won't be hosting her party. Not the asshole, and she can rent a venue for her party. Not the asshole, she and you do know that even a deep clean will not take away all the cat debris, and anyone with an allergy usually cannot be in a house that a cat has been in ever. My mom reacts in under 30 minutes even in rooms that the cat has not been in, cat dander flies. Not the asshole, the party is cancelled immediately. You and your cat can enjoy a nice night instead of your house getting messy and no one helping you clean it. Am I the asshole for defending a lesbian couple that asked me not to? I, 27F, was at the airport bathroom just now, putting some makeup on waiting for my second flight of the day. I travel a lot through this airport, so I went to a bathroom that's kind of hidden and I knew would probably be empty. A cleaning guy came in and said something in German, which I don't speak, so I figured he was saying something about him being a man, so I answered automatically with, "Don't worry, I'm almost done." Like 5 seconds after, 2 early 30s women come in holding hands. One has short hair. The guy says something to the one with short hair and the other one answers with what I can only assume was her, saying they are both women. He looks at me and starts talking, again, in German, and I say, "Sorry, I don't speak German." The woman tells me, "He just thought she was a man because of her hair." And I say, "Oh okay." I keep putting makeup on, but the guy keeps talking to me and says in very broken English something including the words, lesbian, uncomfortable, wait outside. I don't know what he's saying, but I'm getting pissed, and the 2 women tell me they are sorry and to please ignore him. He switches back to them and starts slightly blocking them from going into the bathrooms and pointing at me. I don't know what to do, but I'm angry at this point. I look at them. The one with short hair is looking back at me, uncomfortable. The other one is talking to him, visibly annoyed. He switches back to me, says something about uncomfortable and lesbian again, and I said, almost word for word, "Shut up and fuck off. If anyone is making me uncomfortable, it's you. So get the fuck out and leave them alone." He looks at me shocked, scoffs and leaves. The long-haired one looks at me pissed and says, "Great, now we can't even do anything about it even if we wanted to. Hope you feel better, thanks for saving this girlie," ironically. Now I feel like shit, but I really think I was trying to do the right thing? Maybe it was my tone. I'm extremely tired and also LGBT, so that's why I reacted strongly, I guess. I don't know if they were saying something I couldn't understand. Cleaning guy did not look or sound German, so maybe they were just trying to communicate too, and I thought he was being aggressive. Am I the asshole? No assholes here, just because IDK exactly why they're so upset. A random dude was aggressively trying to drag you into the situation. You told him he was making you uncomfortable and to fuck off. That's the appropriate response to a random man aggressively speaking at you in a bathroom. Not the asshole. What that couple and some people in the comments are failing to understand is that you were also being harassed by that man and have a right to stand up for yourself. That doesn't mean that couple couldn't also stand up for themselves, but you don't have to take harassment just because it was first directed at them and you were brought into it. As a queer person, it's baffling to me that other queer people don't recognize other forms of harassment happening right in front of them. This was a pretty clear-cut case of misogyny, as he was attempting to protect you from lesbians when no one asked or wanted him to do anything in a situation that was a total non-situation until his misogyny and homophobia made it a situation. The second half of this story doesn't make sense. Not the asshole? But in the future, you might want to know what the person is saying before you freak the hell out on them. While you are likely correct in your assumptions, your response was a little much. That's something that could be reported to airport security management. You are the asshole for posting yet another story we all know is fake so the bigots can come out of the woodwork. Nah, I have no idea what happened, so best we just leave it in the airport bath.